In today's video, we are going to be talking about why it feels hard to trust your body, why you may still be stuck in dysregulation and it feels like you've done all the things that you've seen online, you've done the somatic practices, and yet it still feels hard to trust yourself and trust your body. And I made a video in the past about why it is hard to trust yourself. And if you haven't seen that video, I'm going to link it down below and I highly recommend that you watch it alongside this video. And in this video, I'm going to be specifically talking about why it is hard to trust your body. And the big reason that I found in my own life why it felt difficult to trust my body and really be able to hear what it is saying to me, really be able to hear what it is sharing with me and the signals it was sending, was because I was making myself wrong. My body would tell me I am tired. My body would tell me that it is hungry, or that it's full, or that it didn't want to eat at a specific time in the day. My body gave me all kinds of signals, and I put my power outside of my body. I gave my power away to the things I saw on social media. I gave my power away to what doctors said was best for my body. And I noticed in almost every single area of life, I was making other people's opinions and what they thought more right than what my body was asking for. I made myself wrong in order to get approval, in order to get validation, in order to survive and get the love that I felt like I wasn't able to get from myself. And don't get me wrong, we all co-regulate and we need relationships. But when you are taught growing up that what you say doesn't matter, that your voice doesn't matter, and when you are criticized for everything that you say, when you grow up being criticized and you get the vibe that what you say doesn't matter, you then start making yourself feel wrong for everything that you are experiencing, for everything that you are feeling, for the way that you are showing up, and for the way that you express yourself as a human being. And when you feel like you are wrong for existing in the way that you are wrong for the way that you feel, because you've been criticized all your life, maybe you've even been shamed for how you felt and how you've shown up. You now start showing up in these people-pleasing ways, fawning, trying to get other people to like you. And now when your body wants to share something with you, it is asking for something, you make your body wrong and other people right. Because in the past, other people were always right. Maybe you expressed something that you wanted to do, or an opinion, or how you felt, and your parents just said, do it because I said so. Don't talk back, don't ask questions. There was literally no room for curiosity, and there was no room for the way that you showed up. And you have now lost credibility with your own body. I'm gonna repeat that again. You have now lost credibility with your body. Now, when your body wants to say, I'm tired, I just want to sleep, and so much of your worth is based on you being useful. So much of your worth is based on what other people told you is your value. And you can't allow yourself to relax. I see this all the time with my clients, and I've seen it in myself. I had such a hard time relaxing, just existing, allowing myself to just sit and be without having anything to do that is productive. And even when I would take up hobbies or like take up things that I wanted to do, I wanted to feel productive doing those things. I took up those things because it felt so hard to even just sit and let myself be without doing anything. Because I believed that I had to be useful in order to be worthy. And I made society's opinions of that and capitalism and all that goes into that, because capitalism is based on people constantly being productive and operating as a machine. That's really just how I see it. Like, it just leaves no room for humanity. And so when you make that more right than what your body is asking for, your body then starts to distrust you. In those moments, your body feels so disconnected, because what is happening in reality, what is happening in the moment, is so vastly different than what your mind is trying to make you do. When you are trying to force your way through things, and when you're trying to push your way through, and when you follow things like fad diets, and you are following everything that everyone is telling you to do on TikTok over what your body is asking for, that creates disconnection. And your body then starts to feel abandoned. And so many of the people that I work with feel so much anxiety from abandoning their body. How you're showing up now for your body is exactly how you were treated as a child. You are now telling your body that what it has to say and share with you is not important. What it has to share and say to you is not worth the time and energy. And that you are not worth the time and energy to take care of yourself, to pour into yourself. And what I want to share with you is that when you start to actually tap into your body, tap into the wisdom that your body has to share with you, even in the smallest ways, where when you feel thirsty, you drink water, which I'm about to do right now actually, because I'm feeling a little thirsty. There's like so much that goes on with diets and not eating enough that causes you anxiety. And so much research that is so heavily based on a man's nervous system and a man's body. And that doesn't work the same for a woman's body and her brain and the way that women operate. That is just a scientific fact. Men and women are built different. Otherwise, we would have the same hormones, our brains would operate the same way. We were just built biologically different. And there are a lot of people that would disagree with that, but I'm not here to be politically correct. I'm here to point out the facts. Men and women are equal in their own way. Men have their own strength and their own weaknesses, and women have their own strength and their weaknesses. But they are equal, but not in the same regard. When we try to treat our body in the same way that works for men, like doing cold plunges, being heavy on meditation and kind of just going in the head and going up here instead of really being in the body. When we do intense cardio all of the time, even though we operate on a 30-day cycle rather than a daily cycle, when we do so many of those things, we are literally disconnecting from our womanhood. We are disconnecting from our body, because what we need throughout our cycle is so different, and it is going to be hard for you to get that from research, to get that externally from people when the research is mostly done on men. So when you make yourself wrong for how you feel, I'm not saying that you need to sit with all of your emotions 24/7, but when you make yourself wrong for how you feel, and when you disregard the signals that your body is sending you and is telling you that when you are in your luteal phase or when you're in your menstrual cycle, you need more rest. You need to pour more into yourself. You need to take it easy. You need to move a little bit more slower than during your follicular and ovulatory phase. When your body says those things and you're like, nah, no, I'm not doing that. Or when you see it as, oh, I need to be more disciplined. Discipline is for men. I am not saying that you shouldn't be consistent. Don't get it twisted. I am saying that discipline, the way where you have to override your body and your experience, pretty much bypassing what you are experiencing, that is not consistency for women. Consistency for women looks like following your cycle. Consistency for women looks like continuing to show up daily and moving your body and still meet the goals that you set for yourself with devotion, with self-love, and adjusting the movement that you do. Adjusting from taking a run outside to doing a yoga video. Adjusting from a HIIT workout to maybe doing a Pilates video. Adjusting to go take a walk outside if you feel like you are unable to do anything that is intense. That is what consistency looks like for a woman. And this goes in all other areas of life. I'm sure this is going to trigger a lot of people, but I am just going to share my truth. I am just going to share what has worked for me, listening to my body and not making myself wrong for my experience just because it doesn't align with what I am seeing outside of myself does not make me wrong, and it is what has helped me build the safety in my body to trust myself. I love science. I love learning the cold hard facts. But when you realize that so much of that is not based on women, you have to ask yourself, why is that? Why is it not based on women? And why does it feel like it doesn't align with me? Because I know for so many women that I've worked with, I feel like they are getting it wrong because they are following things that do not work for their body. And they are making themselves wrong instead of actually listening to themselves and what their body is asking for. And some of the ways that I show up for myself, that I make the effort to connect with my body and hear what it has to say, is that I take baths. I take Epsom salt baths to show my body that it is safe to just be. I turn my lights off, I light a candle, I just sit in an Epsom salt bath with some rose water and I just allow myself to be. Sometimes I'll bring a book in, but I'll listen to my body. Do I feel like taking in that information and that stimulation from reading a book, or do I just want to be? Another thing that I started doing is doing a self-oil massage. And I don't remember if I had mentioned this on YouTube before. I know I posted about it on my TikTok, but I don't know that I had mentioned this on YouTube before. But this is related to the Ayurvedic practice. I don't know how to say it. I'm not gonna butcher it. It starts with an A, Abhyanga or something like that. But this is that same practice where you just oil yourself with sesame oil or whatever oil you choose. I think there are specific oils that you do in Ayurveda, but you can just start off with whatever you have. And just literally using this practice to connect with your body. That's how I use it. I just use it to sit there and pour into myself and just really taking the time, instead of just rushing through the process, really taking the time to feel my body, to feel how it feels to massage myself and offer myself this moment of love, this moment of being held. And I want to say that all of these practices that I'm going to be sharing with you are a way to increase your oxytocin, which reduces your cortisol levels. And the reason that I even went on that rant with why women's bodies are different is because a woman's nervous system is regulated through oxytocin, which is so different from a man. And so you can see how the things that you need to regulate your nervous system are going to differ from a man, and why listening to your intuition, even without listening to this video or listening to the things that I'm going to share with you, when you start listening to your body, you may start getting some of this information from your body, because your body is wise and it knows what it needs. But sometimes when we don't see examples of this around us and we are not represented in research, then we have to tune back in. A part of me making this video is to give you that permission to tune into what feels right for you, to tune into your body's wisdom. What I'm sharing here with you are just a few things that have worked for me. Maybe they won't work for you, maybe they won't feel as good for your own nervous system, but I'm just sharing what works for me. And this is just an invitation to see what works for you, to take the time to connect with your body and know that it is okay to take the time to pour into yourself. You do not have to be productive 24/7. So another thing that I do is also drinking lemon balm and ginger tea. I make a lemon balm and ginger tea in the morning. I find that it helps me stay calm throughout my day, start off my day on a good note, and even if I wake up and I'm feeling tense or I'm feeling anxious, that tea just helps me feel warm and calm, and it just feels like a little hug for my body. This is not like anything I've ever mentioned on my channel before, but I feel that it is so important to say, and I feel like not very many people talk about it, and I'm not going to share too much about it on here because this is a public platform, and I leave that kind of talk within my coaching sessions and within my courses. Another thing that can help you increase your oxytocin levels and reduce the levels of cortisol in your body, which are what kind of keep you in that fight or flight state, is self-pleasure. And that is what I'm going to leave it at. I don't think I can even say more on YouTube about this. This is what my private coaching containers are for, so we can have open conversations about this kind of stuff. This is just not something that I personally want to talk about publicly. And another thing that you may already be doing is cuddling with a pet. So cuddling with your cat, cuddling with your dog, whatever kind of pet that you have. I literally spend so much time with my cat, and I feel like even their purrs literally help regulate the nervous system. So doing that with your pet, and I'm kind of mostly listing things that you can do on your own without a family member or a friend, so that in case you don't have a safe family member or a friend, that you still are able to do this. But oxytocin is released through co-regulation of interacting with other people, hugs, and just having like safe and positive interactions. So even just calling up a friend or hanging out with a family member that feels safe enough to be with, that is going to help you regulate your nervous system. If you don't have that safe family member or friend, a practice that you can do is havening. So starting out at the top here and just gliding your hands down and just doing this over and over again. And even just doing that now, like I feel so calm and I feel held. And maybe you can even do like a little arm squeezes, do a self hug, or just do the squeezes. And what this does is that it just helps you feel held. If you feel overwhelmed with emotion, if you feel like life is just too much, like there is a lot going on, or you feel like you are unsupported, this is a really good way to come back to yourself and show yourself that you are held and you are supported. If you feel like, I don't have that support outside of me, I don't have support from my family, I don't have support from friends, and I just feel alone, this is such a powerful exercise to bring that support for yourself, to be your own support. The last thing that I have for you is to orient yourself to your environment first thing when you wake up in the morning. And the reason this works so well, first let me show you what orienting is. So orienting is just looking around the room slowly and actually physically turning your head, noticing anything that feels pleasant to look at, noticing anything that catches your eye, noticing different colors, different shapes, noticing different sounds, scents. And even as I just did this now, I felt a settling in my body. I felt myself just relax a little bit. And most of the time when I do this, I feel myself take a deep breath naturally. And I love this practice because sometimes I'll want to take a deep breath and I feel blocked, and that will cause me to feel more anxious. This is an amazing practice to do where it naturally activates your parasympathetic system, and it activates a deeper level of breathing and a deeper groundedness. I will say that not all of these will work for every single person. Everybody's nervous system is different. So get curious, play around with these, see what works, what doesn't, what feels good in your own body, what activates you, what actually puts you in parasympathetic, and just get curious about it. This is not about beating yourself up or judging yourself through the process or labeling yourself as wrong. Again, this is just about getting curious to see what happens in my nervous system as I do these practices. Which ones resonate with my nervous system and which ones do I actually enjoy doing and that help me settle and help me relax. Why I even share all of these practices with you to help you regulate your nervous system is because when you are regulated, when you have come back into connection with your body, you can start to take braver and bolder actions that feel more aligned to who you actually are and how you want to show up in the world. When we are dysregulated, it is so much easier to follow what other people are telling us to do, even if that is not the thing that feels right for us. And even if a little part of us knows this is not the right move for me, this is not the direction I want to move in, when you feel dysregulated and disoriented and you're not sure what direction to take, and you feel so disconnected from your body and you don't trust your body, it is so much easier to follow what other people say. But the truth is, at least what I believe for myself, is that all of us have an innate GPS that tells us what direction to move in. And that GPS really only works for us. It is almost like a little system that guides us into what we are here to do on this earth. That is my own personal belief. And I don't believe that someone else knows what is better for me than me. I used to believe that, but I no longer believe that someone else knows what is better for me than what my body is telling me and sharing with me. And the more we can regulate ourselves, the more we can learn to trust our bodies. The more we can feel empowered in our decisions, the more we stop making ourselves wrong for the choices that we make. As we are then making authentic choices that feel right for us, even if they don't make sense to the outside external world. And I'm not talking about anything that is destructive or anything that is putting you in a bad place. I'm talking about empowering choices that we make for ourselves, but we feel too afraid of what other people will think of us. We are too afraid to veer off the normal path. We are too afraid to put ourselves out there and be seen doing these things and taking our own path and paving our own way. When we are autonomous and we are following our own internal GPS, our intuition, that doesn't benefit capitalism. And I'm just going to leave it at that for today. This is gonna be a whole other topic for a whole nother day, but please feel free to share any questions that came up, share your own opinions, share your own thoughts on everything that you heard in this video. And just know that it really takes patience and consistency. The more you continue to show up for your body and not making yourself wrong, continuing to pour into yourself and show yourself that you are worthy of the time, of the attention, of the love, of the effort, of all of it, then you will start to see results. Not making yourself wrong for anything that you feel. You're allowed to feel anxiety. You are allowed to feel that protection, the part of you that wants to keep you from danger. You're allowed to feel everything. And all of it is okay and all of it is welcome. The more you repeat that process and continue to do that, the more you learn to trust yourself and your body. And the more you learn to take aligned actions that actually align with the life that you want to lead, the relationships you want to have, the job that you want to have. Because when we are disconnected from ourselves, we are most likely living based on other people's opinions. We are living based on other people's values. And we're not really feeling satisfied and fulfilled within our own self. and then we wonder why we feel stuck. So just continue to be patient with yourself. And even the part of you that feels like it wants to rush through things and push through and it just wants to get this all over with, that part is welcome too. Thank you for being here, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.